The conversation of your life. Local, relevant, digital, and always on.
America will hear my 2 cents.
Elected to serve iHub radio listeners across the desert cities. He calls it as he sees it.
Quick question.
Now, here's Russ Betts.
Someone answer him now!
All right, and welcome to the Russ Betts Show, coming to you from beautiful downtown Palm Springs, California. We're into hour 2, and if you missed the first hour, you can find us on podcast. And the easiest way to do that, I mean, Google is wonderful. It makes it so easy to find stuff, and I don't have to read off a big, long web address to you. Just type in the Russ Betts Show podcast, and there it'll come up. You got this show and all the other ones, and isn't technology wonderful? Now, if you missed the first hour, we covered, we had a whole lot of talk about this present economic situation, and it wasn't all that encouraging. It seems like we're in very difficult times. Which leads us into our next guest. He's executive director of an organization called Food Now. And he originally hailed from Anaheim, California, working in the electric utility industry for 20 years as a high-voltage electrical lineman, a troubleman, a foreman, and a field engineer. And then he spent another 5 years as a business representative for the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 47. After a career-ending accident, he moved to the desert in 2007, and because of his interest in helping others, it led him to start with the organization Food Now, volunteering as a grant writer. And then he went back to school and received his degree in nonprofit business administration from the University of California at Riverside. And he got involved in writing grants, and eventually he became the executive director of Food Now. And now I asked him to send me an email, which he did. And so that's what I was reading was the intro from that. But, if you go on the website and try and look at the About Us, who's involved in this organization, you don't see the usual splash of all these details. You got to get that from them privately. What you see there is people that say, it says food insecurity is where somebody doesn't know where their next meal is coming from. They don't know how they're going to put food on the table. Hunger is the actual physical hardship, the physical feeling of not having enough food to eat. And then on the page there's a whole bunch of testimonials. So that's long enough for an introduction. I hope I didn't overdo it. Dana, our guest is Dana Johnson, Executive Director of Food Now. Dana, welcome to the Russ Betts Show.
Hello, Russ. Thank you for having me.
Okay. It's quite an impressive resume you have, actually. So, you and I were talking yesterday, and I was really calling just to see how things were going. And I thought, this might be some good information for our listeners. And my thought is there's probably some people who have never had help before or never needed help before. And all of a sudden finding themselves saying, it'd be nice to have a refrigerator with some food in it and the shelves stocked. Is that what you're there? Is that what you're about?
Yes, Russ. Once again, thanks for having me, because I just want to make sure that all your listeners and the entire community knows that Food Now is here, and we're here to help. Especially, like you mentioned, these pretty dire economic situation that a lot of families, a lot of households are facing, maybe for the first time, with the stay-at-home order and everybody, business shutting down. A lot of families that never thought they'd be in this position find themselves unemployed or underemployed, and kind of scared about where the money's coming from. So we want to make sure that food is available and accessible, healthy food. And so we've seen an increase in the number of requests for service, right around, March 19th, right before the stay-at-home order was in place. We were serving about 320 families right here from our facility in Desert Hot Springs. And that number has increased every week very steadily. Just this last week, we served over 500 families, about 1,200 individuals asked for help. And I want you to know that we're here to help. We're going to make sure that people who need food in our community will have access and availability to healthy food.
Well, that was a question I was going to ask you. It's probably a dumb question, but how much of my question was going to be seeing an increase, but give me the numbers. How big of an increase is this? Put it in perspective for us. It sounds like a near doubling of the people asking for food.
Yeah, we've seen a 40% increase in the last 30 days. When this coronavirus first broke and I was meeting with, state officials, county officials, and we're trying to project out, put a model in place that what kind of increase are we going to see? We projected we would see an increase from 320 to about 500 families. Well, we already hit the 500 family threshold. We're going to make sure that we have enough food for everybody that comes through our doors. We'll talk more about the method of delivery here in a minute, but so I don't know where it's going to end, Russ.
Well, typically,
I don't think
talking about the method of delivery, typically it was everybody gets in a room and waits and then, registers and come on in. But they're not doing that now, are they?
No. When the stay-at-home order went into effect, we had to, first of all, we're an essential business. We are part of the food chain. We want to make sure that our doors never close, okay, whether it be, pandemic, economic meltdown, or natural disaster. Food now is going to be open to make sure that food remains available and accessible. So, but now with the coronavirus and the deadly, COVID-19, we had to change the way that we do our delivery of the food distributions. And so, we have to maintain social distancing. We have to maintain the health of and well-being of our clients and our volunteers of the utmost importance. So what we do now, Russ, instead of having people come in and stay in a waiting room and, about 100 people packed in a room, we decided to start with drive-through service right here at Desert Hot Springs and at the corner of, Palm and Two Bunch Palms. We have our food distribution system. And every Wednesday and Thursday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m., we allow for customers, our clients, to drive through, to stay in their vehicle. There's no contact. We will, have our volunteers out there with their personal protective equipment, and we'll get your information, and then we'll ask, then we will distribute, we will place the food in your trunk or in your backseat of your car. For clients that are walking up, we maintain 6-foot separation, and we have a nice method of delivery for walk-up clients as well. So we had to completely change the way that we distribute the food.
Did you get the cones in place for traffic control? Did that work?
Yes, thank you. We did. I reached out to the city, and they were kind enough to give us traffic cones for traffic control. Because we have 4 lanes of traffic lined up. Like I said, we'll be getting about 250 cars through here every day, the 2 days that we're open. And so traffic control was a big part of our new distribution system, and the cones with the lanes has worked out very fine. Okay,
and if you saw what happened down in the eastern Coachella Valley where they had, according to the news report, a 10-mile long line of cars, and only a third of them could get food. Are you anticipating anything like that?
Yeah, that's very troubling to see. I just want to emphasize that our main concern is to make sure people don't go away hungry. But the other side of that coin is I want to make sure that the people in our service area, Desert Hot Springs and the surrounding area, which is north of the I-10 freeway, all the way from Whitewater to Thousand Palms, those are our target. That's our target clients. That's our target population. So I want to make sure that we have enough food for our community. I hate to sound, unaffected by other people's, plight, but we want to make sure that we have enough food here for our community. Like I said, we just had 500 families through, this last week, and the way that we have our distribution set up, our capacity is not even close to being reached yet. I guess the threshold, though, the problem we would have would be running out of food. We have not had to even ration food yet, but with a 40% increase and going up every week, I can't guarantee that.
Well, you're not the only food distribution town. It is basically broken up into regions where each community has their source of help, and you're one of them for a set designated geographic region. And if people are jumping around to different regions, well, that's going to make the whole system fall apart, kind of like what we saw at the grocery stores where they got so overrun the normal supply lines couldn't keep up. And that's, I think, what you're looking at, right?
Yes, that's correct. Like you said, people start coming over from Mecca or from L.A., then that would overrun our ability to distribute food to our community.
Yeah, well, let's hope we don't see. I guess I saw some lines up in Los Angeles and San Diego area that were just as long as we heard about down in the eastern Coachella Valley.
Correct.
So you're going to run out of food if you got enough food. I mean, you have to pay for this food, right? You don't get it free. There's some kind of transaction that has to take place, or how much of it comes in free?
Well, we are part of. We're a USDA recipient organization. Also, we are a partner agency with Feeding America. So we are part of the government's ability to distribute food. But we also want to make sure that every food box that we distribute is nutritionally balanced. And so, yes, we do have to go out and buy food on occasion. Just because of the increase in requests for service. Let me back up here real quick. Part of our food that we distribute comes from retail pickups. We have our own truck, and we contract with Feeding America, and we go out to the retail stores, the Vons, the Albertsons, and we do our pickups there. And that's where we received 90% of our proteins, our meats, our eggs, our milks. Okay, because you noticed, and I'm sure all your listeners have noticed, the shelves are empty. Our retail pickups have gone to about zero. And so that means that I didn't have the ability to, pass along the foods that I had received. So that means I had to go out and buy food for the last couple of weeks. I anticipate for that trend to continue as well. So yes, I'm buying a lot more food than I've ever had to.
Okay, now we're in tough times. Some people that thought nothing of making a regular contribution, or even a foundation or somebody, got hit pretty hard by a stock market crash, and then down economy. Have you seen that type of program donation drop off?
Yes, especially with the stay-at-home order, a lot of our funding came from foundations that depended upon events. For instance, the tennis garden. The Champion Volunteer Foundation was a big benefit. We were a big beneficiary from them. Same thing with the golf tournament. Both of those have put us on notice that they don't know how much they will be able to distribute this year, and so that was part of my budget. So I've lost quite a few of my corporate donors, the tune of tens of thousands of dollars. So that's quite concerning. On the other hand, though, I have to tell you, Russ, that the community has really risen up. I've seen more $10, $20, $100 donations coming in than I've ever seen before. Our number of donors has increased 100%. But the bottom line is I'm still looking for money. I'm still looking for corporate sponsors, looking for people who could help out with a big donation so I could go out and make a huge food purchase.
You made it real easy to donate, right? It's right on your website. I just went into Google and typed food now, and it comes up. And there was a donate page where I was able to make a contribution. It's that easy. It was really simple and quick. I mean, one of the easiest pay pages I've seen. Obviously, you've made it very easy. Can you stick around through the break? We've got some more questions for you. If you can,
I'd be more than happy to.
Okay,
thank you, Russ.
All right, this is Russ Betts on iHub Radio with Dana Johnson, Executive Director of Food Now, on the line. If you're home and this is the first time that you've run into this type of situation, and you find yourself a little worried, there's some help out there, and you don't know what a relief it is to be able to go down and get some food, and you don't have to wait till you're out of money. You can sit there and say, hey, there's going to be problems ahead. Well, don't let it get that far. All right, we're back with more after this.
The conversation of your life. Local, relevant, digital, and always on.
America will hear my 2 cents.
Elected to serve iHub Radio listeners across the desert cities. He calls it as he sees it.
Quick question.
Now, here's Russ Betts.
Someone answer him now!
All right, we're on with Dana Johnson of Food Now in Desert Hot Springs, helping to make sure people are fed. And I'm looking at the website. It says, Food Now, Donate Now. And I think that's something that all of us that are feeling fortunate that we're not in dire straits should keep in mind. Food Now, Donate Now. And it couldn't be an easier way to do that. And They make it really easy. It's one of the easiest pay pages I've made. Dana, you got money out of me real quick that way. It wasn't a lot. I'm not a rich man, but I gave what I could, and it couldn't. You've done a great job setting that up, and of course you're doing a great job. There's a lot of people really very appreciative of the efforts of you and all the volunteers at Food Now. How many people you got volunteering down there?
Oh, we have about any day we'll have about 20 volunteers. Over the course of a year, Russ, I'm the exec director, and I have one admin who works about 9 hours a week. We're the only two paid positions. But over the course of a year, the volunteers will donate 15,000 hours a year to make sure these doors open and we get food distributed to our community.
Wow, and if you that's a lot of resource. If you had to pay for that, amazing, huh? All right, so can you?
I could not be more thrilled to be a part of this group of people that have stepped up. We're talking about first line of defense here, with going out there literally risking their lives to make sure that the community, has food. And so I've never been more proud to be part of an organization and associated with such a great group of people.
Okay, so way back when, during the last crisis, I don't know if you remember this, but I had a friend of mine who I sensed was having some problems, so I went to his house, and while he was off in another room, I opened up his refrigerator, and all that was there was a pot of beans. And I said, wow, what's going on? He says, I've been eating off of that pot of beans for 3 days. I haven't got any food. And I contacted you, and you said, the person was a little embarrassed to go down there. And he said, you just gave me some food. I took it to him, and I tell you, the relief on his face, I didn't see a tear come to his eye, but it was close. And people just don't realize, it's there for you. Go get this help. You don't need to feel ashamed of this, right?
That is so true. If we have time for one quick story here. When I first got here, and actually this last year, we were doing our chili cook-off, and I went to one of the big restaurants here, and the general manager, I was talking to him about supporting their chili cook-off. He said, what else can I do? What can I do? How can I help? I said, man, you're really involved here. He goes, yeah, I got to let you know, 10 years ago when I came out to the desert, I was completely broken. I was broke and spiritually broken. I was in a bad way. It was very dark. And I came to Food Now every Thursday, and just knowing that I had food in my refrigerator got me through the week until I finally cleaned myself up, dusted myself off, lifted myself up. And today he's the general manager of one of the biggest restaurants here in the Valley. And he started out 10 years ago receiving food assistance from Food Now. So this program is here to help, and it helps all walks of life.
And, some people are going to be in a situation where they've never been in a situation like this before. I remember one time, years and years ago, it was typical American, lots of bills. I got laid off. It had been a few weeks, a little longer to get another job than I wanted. And some friends half-jokingly showed up with a big, big box of food. I mean, it wasn't a small amount. And I kind of laughed and everything. But I think they knew that, that was needed. And I got to tell you, after they left and I put all that away, I thought, wow, it's really nice to have that, because it was getting tight. And people are not used to that. So it's just the relief is there.
That is so true, Russ. And I want to make sure we emphasize this too, because these economic conditions are so new and so sudden that, like you said, people who never would have dreamed of, having been in a position where they actually, could use some help, now suddenly find themselves in this situation, where they've lost their job or they've been furloughed, and we are here. We're here to help.
And like you said with this other guy, it helps them get through to focus in on, solving the problem. And if you aren't worried about food, you got kids at home and you need them to eat, and well, there you go. And it's so all right. You have any trouble getting food? We got any problems there? I mean, one place ran out. What's it looking like in the near future?
Well, with our 40% increase in requests for service, the number of households being served, and that number continued to climb, we have not hit our critical area yet. My warehouse typically is never empty. It's very close to being empty now. I'm receiving another distribution, a large distribution Monday, and I will have a better idea of where we're at for the rest of the month after I see what comes in Monday. So I'm already on the phone with my contacts over at Cisco where I'm going to have to. I'm already planning on buying food. I already know that we're at that position where I'm going to have to purchase some food. But hopefully, I'm going to get quite a bit from the USDA and Feeding America.
All right, so it's Food Now, Donate Now, right? We really need people to step up and help out. Some of us are okay, not facing the same crisis as others are. And if you're out there and you're one of these people listening to the show right now, go to Food Now. Just do a Google search, Food Now. It'll come up. Hit the donate button.
Yeah.
Dana, I sure appreciate you coming on with us. And, of course, I appreciate all you're doing there to help the community and people in need. It's a really good organization. And I've known you as just, man, what a kindred spirit when it comes to helping people in need. It's just, you're really doing a fantastic job there.
I appreciate all the work you do for this community as well, Russ. It's been a pleasure speaking with you.
Okay. Well, thanks for being on, and we'll continue on with the show. This is Russ Betts on iHub Radio, and we're back with more.